Welcome to Blue Compass, where we are discussing common SEO mistakes. I have Lisa and Hannah with me today. These are two of our digital marketing team members who spend a lot of time enhancing websites, making them more effective when it comes to Google search and SEO. And so I wanted to start out, Lisa, just by asking you, what's a common mistake that you often see on websites when it comes to SEO?
Yeah, one of the things we see all the time is just errors and redirects in so many ways. So if you're getting rid of a page, if you're changing a page's URL, you want to redirect that to the new URL so that you're not losing any SEO value you may have maintained. And we see issues with this all the time, whether it's a total website restructure where all of your URLs are changing. We've seen sites that haven't put any redirects in place, which means all of those old pages are now going to show up as broken links. And that's not what you want if you want people to find your website and go to the right pages. Even if you're just changing a single page, you want to make sure that you're redirecting that so that any user that is landing there, either from links on your website, links on other people's websites, because it shows up in Google, that you're redirecting that. We also see some issues sometimes where users might have both a secure HTTPS and unsecure HTTP version of a website, and they don't redirect them. So they're loading two distinct versions of their website completely. So that's duplicate, and that's a big no-no when it comes to search and Google.
I think one of the things we forget about sometimes is just all the folder structures and the pages and subpages that websites have. And so we've seen many times when a new website launches, sometimes a company will launch the site and they don't do any redirects. And so they have these new folders, they have these new pages, and suddenly the SEO on the site plummets when it launches. I mean, they were anticipating a fantastic new website, getting all these new visitors, but things actually get worse. And it takes quite a while for Google to start re-indexing things and figuring out where things are. So doing those appropriate redirects, and usually they're 3-in-1 redirects, are very important, both for search engines, but also for visitors too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good way to sour your new website launch experience, is to not get the value you want out of it because you skipped that one step that is so essential.
Yeah. Hannah, how about you? What's a common SEO mistake that you see on websites?
A common thing that I see is websites not following our best practices for meta title and description length. So we recommend between 40 and 60 characters for meta titles and then 70 to 120 characters for meta descriptions. And often websites won't do this at all, or their meta title will be extremely long, and that puts you at risk of Google rewriting your meta titles and descriptions, which everyone wants to be in control of what is going on their website and what is being put out in search. And so that puts you at risk of Google rewriting that to whatever they want, and then you don't have control over that, and then it can also affect your rankings in search.
That's a huge thing we've seen over the past 2 years, is more and more rewriting by Google, titles and descriptions, them saying, this little snippet from this paragraph in the middle of your page is a better description than the description that you've written for that. But like Hannah mentioned, sticking within those character counts is the best way to encourage Google to pick what you have written instead of go rogue and do their own thing, which we can't always stop, but we do our best.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think Google has, over the last few years, really tried to take more and more control, because you think about also Google Ads. Google really wants you to automate them, and it wants to take over, and it wants to make the decisions. And same with these meta titles and meta descriptions. Why isn't it a good idea just to leave meta titles and meta descriptions blank and just let Google write it, though?
Google wants to be as helpful as possible for users, but sometimes they, fall a little bit short and they can't know exactly what your page is about because they're scanning so many websites each day. And so it's really important to have that in your core, and you know what your page is about, you know the value of your page, and so writing it yourself and following those best practices sets you up for the most success in search.
Yeah. Yeah, Google is an amazing company. They have amazing technology, but automation can only take you so far. And generally, I mean, you can write a lot better, more intelligent titles than Google can.
Yeah, and Google is self-serving too in some ways. So you want people to read your meta title and think, that's interesting. I want to go read that article. Whereas Google might say, I just want to give them the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's value to that too, for sure, especially if you're in a featured snippet and a user might think, okay, that was interesting, I'll go read the whole article. But there's certainly times where we want that to happen and times where we don't.
Yeah.
One thing that I have seen occasionally is when a new website launches, the robot.txt file will be set up incorrectly.
Yeah.
So robot.txt file is basically a file that every website has or should have, and it's a little document in which the webmaster can dictate how search bots should act when they come to the site. So you can use it to disavow some search activities. You can keep Google away from some of your pages if you'd like to, and sometimes there's good reasons for doing that. But a lot of times on a demo site, when a web developer is building it, there'll be a robot.txt and they'll disavow all search traffic because you don't want Google to find this demo site because it's not finished and complete yet. But more times than you would think, a website will launch and the developer never went in and fixed that robot.txt file. So it's basically saying, hey, Google bots, stay away from this site. We don't want you here. And obviously that's not good for many reasons.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how often we've seen competitors launch websites and do that. It's surprising how often that happens. And it's just a little thing. And maybe your average user would never notice that if they were on the website, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. The average user would never get to the website if that stayed there.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. What else? Is there anything else that you can think of that websites commonly do when it comes to SEO that's not ideal? It's not a best practice?
One thing that I also commonly see is sometimes websites will think, oh, this page looks pretty, so this is how I'm going to set up the copy on this page, and the heading tags are not in correct order. So when Google is reading a website, they want your heading tags in order, starting from 1 and moving down to 3, 4, etc. Sometimes websites set their pages up and they think, oh, this is how I want my headings to look because of the colors or the fonts or whatever it may be. But then Google can't read it appropriately, and that can hurt your rankings in search. And also, if someone is using a
Assistive, screen reader assistive technology,
that device can't read it properly as well. So for ADA purposes as well, we like to have those set up in order numerically.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a big one that we see a lot. Also, just thin content, having a page with 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs. We really like to aim for 600 words as a bare minimum, really shooting for like 1,000 plus whenever we can. Not just because more content is always better, but typically to explain something in a lot of detail, you need more content. To answer all the questions a user might have, you need more content. But we see a ton of pages where it's like 1 paragraph and we're moving on, and as the person behind the website, you might think that's enough information. They'll call us and we can explain it. But we've seen from so many websites that users need more information to make that call, to fill out that form, to even think, I'm going to come back again and continue to think about this website. So that's really a best practice that we push.
Sure. Yeah, we spoke with a company yesterday that had many service line pages that had only 50 words, maybe 100 words. And a lot of times we think, well, the web is a place for people with short attention spans, and people just want to get to the page, look at it quickly, and go away. And that's true to some extent, but the more words you put on the page, the more potential for value it has for the visitor. And of course, Lisa, as you said, it has to be well written. It should be short paragraphs, bullet points, images throughout, scannable, good headings throughout, so both bots and people can scan it quickly. Just because you have a lot of words on a page doesn't mean someone has to read all those words. If you set it up correctly, it can be really good. But when you look at Google, its whole job is to provide pages of value to people. And so Google looks at a page that has 1,000 words and then maybe a competitor's page that has 100 words. And Google will say, the page with 1,000 words has more potential to add value. And of course, people generally spend more time on pages that have more quality content versus less. So that's a great one, Lisa. I hadn't thought of that one off the top of my head, but there's so many web pages out there that have such little content. And sometimes we think, well, there's a page there for this. But just because there's a page there doesn't mean it's enough.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes the best approach, if all you can say about that topic is 50 words, to combine pages. And maybe it's better to have one really killer service line page that talks about a bunch of related services than a bunch of pages with 50 words, because at that point, all you're really doing is asking your user to keep clicking. Okay, click to this page, click to this page. And when we're talking about short attention span or what's annoying, that's really high on the list, in my opinion. You want to get everything you can on one page, not, okay, gotta go here, gotta go here, gotta go here. I'm annoyed, I'm leaving the site and never coming back.
Yep, exactly.
There's a lot of studies out there, too, that show pages that have more content generally get more traffic and rank better in organic search.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we hope that was helpful for you. If we can help you with your search engine optimization, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a lot of SEO experts here who do amazing work. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next time.